I want people to, if they're doing something wrong, they should get caught. If people feel like somebody's doing something wrong, they should report it and it should be investigated.
We know that when there's government money, that there's going to be all kinds of fraud. We know there's going to be all kinds of abuse.
Wrongdoing complaints against Illinois state employees on the rise over last year, according to the Office of Executive Inspector General. Good morning, I'm Greg Bishop, and it is Illinois in Focus Daily with the Center Square. You can go to thecentersquare.com/Illinois and find the headlines there, and you can get the newsletter in your inbox each and every weekday morning. Just go to the website and click newsletter, and you'll be able to sign up for that. All right, so let's get to it. Yesterday, Governor J.B. Pritzker was in town announcing homeless grants for operations to help those who are experiencing homelessness, and $2 million going to a Springfield collection of organizations to tackle homelessness. But that's just part of $200+ million, I believe, that the state has set aside to tackle the homelessness issue across the state of Illinois. But as I was sitting there, I got an email from the Illinois Office of Executive Inspector General that says the number of complaints against state employees is up nearly 30%. So let's go to the website, thecentersquare.com. You'll see this headline: wrongdoing complaints against Illinois state employees jumps nearly 30%. And the Office of Executive Inspector General, and we'll read here from the story, released its annual report for fiscal year 2025, and the report found nearly 4,000 complaints, or a 29% increase over the prior fiscal year. So when I saw this, and I'm sitting there, and the governor's getting ready to take questions from the media, I had to ask him about this because obviously the Executive Inspector General investigates wrongdoing of executive state agencies. Those are the agencies that Governor J.B. Pritzker oversees as governor of Illinois. So I asked him to talk a little bit about this issue and also about some training. Is that something that needs to be done more in the state of Illinois?
I want people to, if they're doing something wrong, they should get caught. If people feel like somebody's doing something wrong, they should report it and it should be investigated. So I encourage people to do it. Maybe in the past people have been reluctant to come forward because it feels like I don't know, maybe people feel like they don't want to turn in people that are around them in government, but I think it's important for us to run the most honest government we possibly can. So I encourage people to do the right thing. And by the way, the Office of Executive Inspector General has been well run, and they've done a good job of doing the investigations, and they've taken actions that I think are mostly appropriate, and so I'm glad. I do the training every year. We have a lot of training that we do, and I do think that we're attracting good people to government, and that's sometimes hard to do. Government doesn't always pay as much as you could find perhaps doing something else. But I think there are people who want to come into a government that has a mission of serving people, and I think we've done a pretty good job of attracting those people, not just in leadership positions, but just in line positions. And we talk a lot at the agency level, and our agency leaders talk a lot about the fact that we have customers. The people of Illinois are the customers of government, and our job is to do our best, work for them. And
the governor obviously discussing this after I brought it up about this new annual report from the Office of the Illinois Executive Inspector General. And this report, we're gonna go through it a little bit. I mean, it's 75 pages, not all of it we're gonna go through, but we'll get a good sense of what's here. And you can find this report at the story. You can go to thecentersquare.com and you'll see the link to it. But scrolling through the 2025 annual report, this really is just for the fiscal year 2025. So that ended on June 30th of this year. So wrapping that year up, they talk about the different numbers of complaints and the highlighted cases that were founded. Like, for instance, after an investigation revealed hiring improprieties, our hiring and employment monitor division worked extensively with the agency and the governor's office to review and develop a new hiring plan to ensure fair and competitive selection for investigative and intelligence roles at state agencies. Another investigation revealed conflicts of interest issues with reconciliation of vendor payments. Another investigation uncovered for 5 years a transit agency paid over $1 million to employees to stay at home and not work at least 2 days a week. And this one may become relevant as the governor is set to sign today the tax increase bill for mass transit up in the Chicagoland area. So you've got the letter from the inspector general there, but obviously you've got more information about the number of complaints, and here's where you've got the chart showing the number of complaints on the rise, an increasing trend of complaints. So 2021, 2,300 complaints. Now, almost doubled for fiscal year 2025, nearly 4,000 complaints. All right, so that's just the number of complaints, not the number of founded reports. But let's go back to the story here from the Center Square. You've got the OEIG saying the published report also illustrates continued trend of misconduct involving employees and conflicts of interest and or improper secondary employment. Asked about the report Monday, the governor says that he wants people to file those complaints. One case that the OEIG found, an agency director continued to have financial interest in a vendor that was involved in decisions to award work to the vendor. And there was an increase in payments to the vendor and an increase to the vendor's billing for subcontract work. The OEIG's office said that the agency's auditing the vendor's billing and reconciliations to implement new policies and procedures for conflicts of interest. The governor's office also mandating training for agency fiscal officers related to reconciliation of vendor payments, according to the OEIG. So all of this, I was able to get back to the Capitol yesterday because the governor had a news conference at noon, and the Illinois Freedom Caucus had a news conference on an unrelated issue at 1. So I had to literally speed over to the Capitol to get there in time for the Freedom Caucus news conference, which was about the Hanover Park police officer who's getting, $79,000 salary, $200,000 in the total taxpayer costs, non-citizen allegedly. DHS is still at a case open against him, but he's a police officer, and the Freedom Caucus was highlighting their concerns about a non-citizen being given the authority to arrest citizens and to carry firearms. But I had to ask about this accountability issue, about the issue of more complaints, record number of complaints against state employees within Pritzker administration agencies. State Representative Brad Halbrook said he's not really surprised by this.
Without a doubt, right? We know that this is going on. We talked about it in May about the budget, $1 billion going to NGOs, all the other stuff. We know that when there's government money, that there's going to be all kinds of fraud. We know there's going to be all kinds of abuse. This stuff has to be fine-tooth comb so that we can begin to root that out. Again, it's written in the budget. We know who's getting these monies. We know how many dollars they're receiving, but there's evidently zero accountability on some of these things.
No checks and balances there at all.
Right.
Now, when we look at the OEIG report in a little bit more detail, you get a general sense of the things that they're looking at. And for instance, the number of complaints, really, it's across the state. And you get even further to some of the different types of published reports. A lot of conflicts of interest, misconduct involving secondary employment, sexual harassment, mismanagement, falsification of documents, revolving door violations, mismanagement, and it goes on. Other cases it highlights about Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Again, all taxpayer-funded agencies under the Pritzker administration. One of the things it also tackled here, and it was pretty stunning to see, just a sampling of the different types of Paycheck Protection Program funding abuse. Now, the Paycheck Protection Program, if you recall, this was a COVID-era program the federal government had to pay individuals who couldn't go to work because the local governments, like Governor J.B. Pritzker, had ordered that businesses can't open and operate. So a lot of people didn't have a job to go to. So federal government went ahead and use tax dollars for the Paycheck Protection Program to give businesses the kind of lifeline they need to keep their employees paid, even though they were ordered not to have open to the public facilities. So the OEIG here saying during fiscal year 2025, the OEIG continued to investigate state employees who are alleged to have improperly obtained federal Paycheck Protection Program loans, and determined that there was reasonable cause to believe that many of these employees violated violated the state of Illinois Code of Personal Conduct and or agency policy by obtaining PPP loans based on falsified information. And then you go through and it highlights some of the cases here. And it ranges from the different state agencies. I mean, listen, they had 500 investigations, 300 were founded, and you're looking at the total PPP loans. And they average about $20,000+. Some getting $40,000. Child support specialists getting $40,000 PPP loan. You've got just this list goes on. DCFS employees, DHS employees, a lot of DHS employees getting $20,000. You've got Department of let's see here, Illinois Department of Military Affairs, the Department of Juvenile Justice, the Department of Corrections, Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulations, a health services investigator got almost $40,000. And these were individuals, I mean, state government employees who had jobs. They were on the job. They still got paid even though they didn't have to go to the office, but they're tapping into federal Paycheck Protection Program funds for $20,000. So the scope of the report here highlighting that there's an increased number of wrongdoing complaints against state employees. Is it grounds for more investigation? Is it grounds for public hearings so that the public knows the extent of this without it having to be reported by a news organization, for instance, or having to be reported by the OEIG in a report that many taxpayers out there probably never even heard of, the Office of Executive Inspector General. So should there be more public awareness about this, especially from the oversight body of the executive branch? The Illinois General Assembly should be that kind of checks and balance, but you've got Democrat supermajorities in the General Assembly and a Democrat governor. Are Democrats who control the General Assembly going to hold hearings? I asked Republican State Representative Brad Halbrook, should there be hearings about this wrongdoing? He says there needs to be a lot of hearings about that and other issues.
Well, we think that would be a true statement. We think they should hold hearings on lots of things, and we've asked for hearings. We asked for hearings back in the spring on energy, and that was ignored for nearly 3 months. And finally, I believe the Senate Democrats began in August on an energy hearing, didn't invite the House Energy Committee in. But there was ultimate 3 hearings, I think, that happened as a result of energy. So there's lots of things that we need to get in the open, we need to discuss and bring people to the table to sort this out.
Again, State Representative Brad Halbrook there discussing the importance for having public hearings about some of this wrongdoing involving you, the taxpayers' resources being abused. So increased number of wrongdoing complaints filed, people being terminated because of it, even criminal referrals being made. And the state of Illinois clearly has an upward trend of complaints against state employees. What's the governor doing about it? He says he encourages people to file those complaints and have more training. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily. Get the latest in your inbox. Go to thecentersquare.com.